Prime Minister Narendra Modi's three-day China tour has now begun. The first leg, the visit to Xi'an city. The cultural part of the tour has already begun. The Prime Minister, since morning upon arriving, has been to the Terracota Warriors Museum, where in just a short moment from now, we'll be cutting across live to TV Today Network's managing editor, Rahul Kamal, who's now inside the Terracota Warriors Museum. He'll be getting us a report. He'll be telling us more about the museum itself. Right now, these pictures that you see, these are live pictures streaming in from the Dashing temple in Xi'an city, where Narendra Modi is now going from various parts of the temple. From one part to the other, he's being accompanied by a monk. A lot of people are, in fact, experts here in the studio. Mr. Joshi telling us that there is a deep-rooted association that India has had with Xi'an in the past also. We'll go into greater detail in just a short moment on that particular aspect. These visuals that you see on your screen right now. All right, the photo opportunity again. Huge moments for photo opportunities since the morning that we are actually seeing. Before at 1 p.m., we are actually expecting that big meeting between the President of China as well as the Prime Minister of India. The two Asian giants, tall leaders of two Asian nations, will actually be talking in a non-structured dialogue. This is an unofficial dialogue between the two powerful leaders. The real bilateral meetings is expected tomorrow in Beijing, when the Prime Minister actually reaches there later this evening. You can see that these are live pictures coming in from the Dashing temple, where Narendra Modi is actually visiting. Post this, he is expected to visit a few more places, after which that crucial meeting takes place. Let's now let me get you in, Mr. Joshi. You were making this point of this India Connect that Xi'an actually has. Could that perhaps be the reason why the Prime Minister actually chose Xi'an as the first stop for his three-day tour?
I wouldn't be surprised. You know, Xi'an, that great wild goose pagoda that we saw, that is where Xuanzang, after he lived 18 years in India, he landed up there with all these Sanskrit texts, which he then translated into Chinese. Now this temple, Dashing temple, is another place where in the old days Buddhist monks, including Indians, used to take the texts, the Sanskrit texts, and translate them in Sanskrit or Prakrit, I presume, and translate them into Chinese. So Buddhism obviously has an Indian connect, and that connect came through Indian monks, and they were all located in Xi'an, meaning all of the old manuscripts of Yuanshang are all in that great wild goose pagoda, and there's a big statue of him out there. The Chinese have kind of recognized him as a very important figure in relation to Buddhism, the spread of Buddhism in China.
Absolutely. In just a short moment from now, we will be cutting across live to Rahul Kamal, who is inside the Terracota Warriors Museum. We're trying to establish that audio-video link with him, but Nitin, I just want to draw your attention to this tweet that has come in. This is the day and age of Twitter. A tweet has come in from Mr. Omar Abdullah, former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir. And he says, and I quote, I hope, and then I'll follow up with my question. I hope at PMO India is able to resolve the staple visa issue so that I too can visit the Terracotta Army and the Great Wall of China. In a humorous way, the former Chief Minister of Jammu and Kashmir has perhaps conveyed a strong message. What do you think should India expect on these particular contentious issues? Remember, this is all optics, this is all for the camera. It's all nice, and it's nice that there is a soft diplomacy being practiced. But what really about the hard diplomacy?
Well, the hard diplomacy will come, as I said, and that is inescapable. And what Omar Abdullah has actually said is also indicative of the fact that there are issues between India and China, and these issues can never be resolved so quickly. But let me tell you about the staple visas. You remember, it started off with the then Northern Army Commander General Jaswal being denied visa to go to China because he commanded troops in J&K, which China thought was considers a disputed territory. And then, of course, they started giving staple visas like to the Kashmiris. But what Omar Abdullah now has again brought this up is because this we don't know yet whether that issue has been resolved completely or not. In between, people were given normal visas, the Kashmiris. But again, we heard some reports that some of the students who wanted to go from Kashmir to China were given stable visas. So I think it's for the government of India and the the Ministry of External Affairs to actually clarify and give us the exact status of what is the status of stapled visa. But that is where these irritants, if I may call them, or wrinkles between India and China, the relationship, they still exist.
Absolutely. That's where things then start becoming a little, unfavorable. Right now it's fine. We're talking culture, we're talking history, we're talking about archaeology, we're talking about history, we're talking about cultural ties. But the moment it gets down to real diplomacy, that's really the sticking point. And at the onset, both nations have said, don't expect miracles at the end of these 3 days.
And that's exactly the point. I think on both sides, the leadership and the leaders, especially President Xi and Prime Minister Modi, are pragmatic, practical leaders. They know that these things exist, these problems exist. And they have also drawn their red lines to
But is there
other.
a willingness to perhaps set things right? That is most crucial.
There is.
My point is there may be contentious issues, there may be problems, but is there a willingness on both sides to actually look for a solution?
Yes, because both are strong leaders, both come with at least Prime Minister Modi comes with a mandate. And President Xi is also one of the most powerful leaders in recent times. Remember, he became the vice chairman or the chairman of the CMC, the Central Military Commission, simultaneously. Which had not happened for 20 years. And when he became president, he became chairman of the CMC too. And now the crackdown on corruption, both in the PLA as well as in the civilian side, he has actually taken down very powerful people in the corruption, the crackdown on corruption. So therefore, he is a strong leader. So is Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and therefore there is an expectation that they will go beyond the normal to break this logjam that exists.
And that's where Mr. Joshi's point actually comes in, that he's actually saying that he's sticking his neck out and saying that there's something that will come out of this particular trip. On stapled
issue. See, there are these are little games that both sides play. Yesterday you saw an article in the Chinese media accusing Prime Minister Modi of playing little tricks. But you see, this stapled visa, in 2009, Lieutenant General V.K. Singh, that time he was Lieutenant General, Eastern Command, commanding Arunachal, was given a visa. 2010, Lieutenant General Jaswal, commanding Northern Command, was not given. So what I'm saying is there is no consistency. The point is you want to send a signal sometime, you want to take back a signal.
Absolutely.
So both sides are playing that game, like what we called them in day before yesterday and took up the POK issue. So Xi Jinping had visited Pakistan a month ago. So we didn't say anything. But day before yesterday, just before the visit, we called in the guy and told him, that we have serious issues with regard to your investment in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. So this kind of jockeying, these kind of things
keeps happening.
And it's necessary.
It's a diplomatic
Chinese
game.
It's a diplomatic. The Chinese play that game, and now I'm happy to say we also.
But my point is, will we go beyond these games or mind games, which are part of diplomacy, and perhaps come back with something more concrete?
No, it will happen. I think,
but mind games are. You see, just like in cricket matches, mind games are not unimportant.
Yeah, of course they're.
So
nobody's saying they're not important. Absolutely.